Hello summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides mid-patch update video. My name is Kellen and today I'm going to be going over all of the new strongest champions using fresh statistics and giving you the best and most accurate tier list available. We encourage all of our viewers to comment on these lists and say whether you agree or disagree with us on specific champion placements. There have been a ton of major changes since the start of this patch and our analysts and partnered pro players are so excited to bring you the updated list. Also guys, today's question of the day is who do you think the best designed champion in the game is? My answer has to be Xerath. He's a simple and fun champion who's heavily skill based and also has tons of counterplay. It's kind of like no matter how good the Xerath player is, you still feel like there is a way that you can counter him simply by being better than him and dodging the skill shots. Let us know your answers down below in the comments. Also, are you getting ganked in your own lane? Constantly demolished? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. Whether you're looking for tier lists, champion guides, coaching, or courses from your favorite pro players, ProGuides is where you'll find them. Even players like Nightblue, Bunny Fufu, and Loco Doco support ProGuides. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description down below and start improving right now. And with all that being said, let's jump right into the video. Starting off with the top lane. The top lane tier list does only see a few minor changes in our mid-patch update. This is mainly due to patch 10.2 coming with 0 balance changes towards top laners, which means that the meta stayed relatively the same. In S+ tier, we have the same two champions from the start of the patch, which are Set and Mordekaiser. However, it's become quite obvious that Set is by far the strongest top laner in the game and makes Mordekaiser look like peanuts next to him. Set currently holds a 57% win rate with a whopping 20% pick rate and a 55% ban rate. These numbers are insane, and I actually have not seen a champion with stats this high for a very long time. Our analysts highly recommend that you start playing Set if you don't already, because it's extremely easy, yet super broken. Next up in the top lane, let's talk about Akali. It goes without saying that Akali is one of the more problematic champions in League of Legends right now, and she's been hit with pretty much every balance change that the player base has been asking for, and on top of that, the player base is also getting extremely frustrated at her current state. However, it is confirmed that Akali will receive some pretty hefty nerfs on patch 10.3. We released a quick sneak peek of these nerfs in our community tab, but remember, nothing is set in stone, so these can be changed before they hit the live servers. We will make sure to keep you updated with all of the balance changes coming up, so hit that sub button to be notified of the Akali changes. Finally, for top lane, let's talk about Aatrox. We've seen him receive a ton of nerfs over the past few months, but it still seems like he's doing very well in the current meta. We've seen him a bunch in pro play this weekend in LCS and LEC, and his win rate is slowly recovering and his play rate is still holding strong. It really just shows how broken this champion's kit is, so if you want to learn a simple and fun blind pickable top laner who can also hard carry games, then remember about Aatrox, although you probably haven't forgotten. Alright, now let's move on to the jungle. The jungle list actually does see a ton of changes for this update. First up, in the S+ tier, we have Elise, Echo, and a champion which is a combination of Master Yi and Taric. If you've been following our channel for a long time, you might remember that we've mentioned a super OP funnel strat build from Korea a while back, which of course involves Yi plus Taric. It turns out that the build is super broken and the balance team have decided to gut it for patch 10.3. The win rate on this strat single-handedly made Taric the highest win rate mid laner in the game with a 65% win rate. If you want to get as much free low as you can, I would recommend doing this right before the next patch. Pick up a duo partner and abuse the duo combo because Master Yi Taric is going to be gutted, and we'll leave a video in the description down below covering the details about this build, so once you've seen it, go check it out. Next up in the jungle, let's talk about the newest champion, which is Set. Although Set has been dropping in the jungle tier list for the past few updates, he's actually made his way back into the S tier. Players have finally realized how to play him optimally, and his jungle win rate is now really good. He practically takes no damage thanks to his survivability and his clear being really fast. In addition to that, almost no jungler of course can 1v1 him because he's super overtuned, so you'll have no problem securing those scuttle crabs. Play him while you can before he receives some inevitable nerfs in the future patches, seemingly like every new champion does. Also in the jungle, one more time, let's talk about Taliyah. Taliyah's been seeing a lot more play in the jungle in the eastern regions like Korea. Listen, she's always seen in those eastern regions, largely because those regions do not struggle with ping at all, and it's very easy to play Taliyah compared to the NA server. On top of that, they just like the champion in general, very similar to how China likes Annie and Korea really loves Nidalee. She's been a heavy favorite for Korean junglers, and now has a random spike in play rate on this patch. Although her stance in the jungle meta isn't the best for probably most of your guys' games, she's definitely still a viable champion in this role. She has a good clear and obviously can gank really well, so give her a try. You might end up liking her jungle playstyle. Alright, now it's time to run it down mid. The mid lane tier list is going to see a couple of changes. We do have the same 3 S+ tier champions, which are Diana, Kassadin, and Fizz, and that's just because these 3 champions are the best right now for climbing. However, in the S tier, we have 7 champions, which are Echo, Katarina, Cassiopeia, Qiyana, Vladimir, Talon, and Malzahar. Qiyana received a nerf at the start of the patch, which did significantly lower the bonus attack speed from her W. However, it appears that she remains completely unaffected by these changes for her role as a mid laner. However, in the jungle, she might be a little bit worse. Qiyana just does way too much and has too much stuff in her kit to not be considered a high tier champion. Whether it's the great roaming potential, insane burst, CC, utility, game-changing ultimate, she's got it all packed into one champion, and is just the better Zed. Genuinely, that's what she does. Speaking on Zed, he was an S tier for quite a while, but we've dropped him into A tier because Zed has held a solid stance in the meta for a very long time, but is now pretty underwhelming compared to the likes of Fizz, Qiyana, Talon, and Kassadin. These champs are easier to play, do more damage, and have better roam potential. You've probably even recently seen Dopa's thoughts on why Zed is so bad, and not necessarily that he's just a terrible champion or that Zed mains cannot be successful, but you just have to think about it. We've dropped Zed by a small notch because he probably just doesn't do what Talon, Qiyana, Fizz, or Kassadin want to do. He doesn't scale as well as Kassadin, he is just the worst version of Qiyana and Talon, and Fizz has a better level 6 all-in. We might see Zed receive some small touches here and there, and he might make it back into the S tier in the future patches, but right now, I really wouldn't encourage you to play Zed unless you're a Zed main. Finally, mid lane, let's talk about reworked Sylas. Ever since his changes were made to his kit, he's been doing a lot better in the meta, especially compared to what he was right before the rework. He now does an insane amount of damage and heals a crap ton from his W. However, I gotta say, the old smooth animations from the previous iteration were much better and felt much better to play. I'm happy that he feels easier to play and is doing well in the meta, but he feels like a completely new champion. What are your thoughts about him right now? Let us know in the comments down below. I really want to read what you guys have to say about Sylas in the current meta. Alright, let's move on to the bot lane. The bot lane tier list sees a lot of changes for this video. Starting with the S+ tier, we have 3 champions, MF, Senna, and Caitlyn. Caitlyn received a bunch of nerfs at the start of the patch, which were disguised as bug fixes. Yeah, that's kind of silly, right? However, these nerfs really only impacted her stance in the meta by a tiny bit, and she's made her way back to the top of the tier list. Her ability to poke out and bully opponents during the laning phase is still unrivaled, so you should abuse her as much as you can. Next, we have a unique pick, which is Taliyah. We've mentioned in our OP Korean builds video that the former rank 1 challenger in Korea was a one-trick Taliyah bottom main. It turns out that her playstyle has inspired professional ADCs to start playing her as a bot lane mage, and it's surprisingly strong. In order to understand the Taliyah bot lane pick, you have to think about who your support duo is going to be. Right now, almost always the support every single game is like Nautilus or Leona. So these heavy CC champions can engage and lock down the squishy ADC, and then you can easily follow up with some burst and a good combo. However, if your support picks something like Soraka, Janna, or Lulu, then we just recommend you play a traditional ADC instead. Taliyah bot lane is super good because you really need a support to help you set up your W and E combo, or she's just a troll pick if you don't do that. Finally, for the bot lane, let's talk about Aphelios. This champion did receive a lot of heavy nerfs at the start of the patch, but to be completely honest, this champ's insane. Sure, he won't be doing as much damage as he did before, but his global feeling range overloaded kit makes it feel really obnoxious to deal with. In addition to that, the champion is just really easy to play, despite some contrary beliefs. As long as you put in 5 to 10 games to understand what your weapons do, you're pretty much good to go. You do not need to be perfect with your weapon usage because they don't really have any weaknesses. The champion just does itself and plays itself, and it seems really hard due to the massive amount of abilities that he has, but it's really not that hard. Finally, he's super confusing to play against, which makes it look like he's difficult to play, but most of the time people just don't know how to play against him because it's not super obvious what he's even doing. Point is, play it while you can because the balance team has decided that he still is too OP and they've realized that he's super strong and he's confirmed getting nerfed again next patch. So click that sub button to be notified of all of the changes coming to Aphelios next week. We will make sure to let you know. Finally, on to the supports. The support tier list does see a lot of changes right now. In the S+ tier, we do have the same 3 champions, which are Nautilus, Leona, and Blitzcrank, and Nautilus did receive a small nerf at the start of the patch, but he's obviously going to be an S+ tier champion. I mean, you see the champion every single game. Nautilus is in every game, and the problem with support Nautilus wasn't his burst, but rather how much CC and survivability he has, with almost no damage items at all. He has way too much lockdown, way too much tankiness, and 0 downside, and that's what's making him OP. On top of that, yes, they did nerf his damage, but he still can 1v1 you for some reason. It is pretty likely that we will see the balance team try to push out some of these lockdown and tanky supports out of the meta and try to push in the enchanters. Champions like Janna, Sona, Lulu, Yumi, Nami, stuff like that have been seeing a ton of buffs, and they've literally done nothing. These squishy champions get completely dumpstered by engaged supports, so we will need some bigger changes coming to the support meta if we do want to see any changes. Next up in support, let's talk about Karma. Karma did receive a few buffs at the start of the patch, and she's made her way back into S tier for support. Those base damage buffs are making a huge impact on her win rate, and she's back to being a strong lane bully. However, in a meta where Nautilus, Leona, Blitzcrank, and Pyke exist, it'll really be hard for Karma to easily climb because you will get hit by one hook and probably die. However, if they do pick something like a Sona and they're trolling, definitely try out Karma. She's a huge lane bully. Finally, for supports, let's actually cover Sona. At the start of the patch, she received a massive buff to her E, which does make her a female version of Sonic the Hedgehog. Her speed is really impressive, and she's quite underrated as a pick right now, but we might see more Sona Taric as a result of this because she is not a proper support in this meta. However, playing her as some kind of carry, I've even seen a few NA Challenger players trolling by picking her mid and top. Maybe Sona is not that bad in other lanes or in a role other than support, so we'll have to wait and see. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for this mid-patch analysis for 10.2. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button to be notified of our next video. Also, make sure to check out ProGuides.com if you want to see huge improvements in your rank. That's all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the Rift.